We now have the opportunity to recognize and congratulate outstanding members of the faculty, recipients of the Teaching Prize and of named chairs. The Pinanski Prize for Excellence in Teaching is awarded each year to honor members of our faculty who have demonstrated excellence as teachers. Now, today we recognize these three teachers. Connie Bauman, Physical Education, Recreation, and Athletics. Daniel Brabander, Geosciences. Paul Fisher, American Studies. Please join me on stage to receive your awards. So Connie Bauman, Associate Professor of the Practice of Sports Medicine, is commended by her students and colleagues alike for her enthusiasm, knowledge, and ability to engage students. Connie gives her time freely to advise students and helps them find their passions. As one student concludes, her impact on students is lifelong. I am honored to present the 2010 Anna and Samuel Pinanski Teaching Prize to Connie Bauman. Dan Brabander, Associate Professor of Geosciences, is described by his student nominators as an enthusiastic and skilled teacher and unusually perceptive mentor with an infectious enthusiasm for science who helps each student discover what they're truly passionate about. As one student puts it, Professor Brabander is passionate about his work in the lab and in the classroom and in the field and makes school fun. I'm honored to present the 2010 Anna and Samuel Pinanski Teaching Prize to Professor Dan Brabander, who is an asset to the Geosciences and Environmental Studies programs and to the entire Wellesley College community. Paul Fisher. In the words of one nominator, Paul Fisher, Assistant Professor of American Studies, is unlike any other professor I've had at Wellesley. He is fiercely smart, funny, humble, and gets a great class dynamic rolling, and always encourages his students to pursue new and interesting ideas. In sum, Professor Fisher's ability not only to engage but also to honor a classroom of diverse students embodies the best of Wellesley College and richly deserves the Anna and Samuel Pinanski Teaching Prize. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker, Lynn Sherr, member of the Wellesley College class of 1963, 1998 recipient of the Alumni Achievement Award, and former member of our Board of Trustees. Lynn Sherr is an award-winning correspondent and author with a career that spans print, radio, and television journalism. Lynn Sherr has made it a point of her career to spotlight and celebrate powerful women who have had a great and significant impact on our world. It is our great fortune to have just such a woman with us today. Please join me in warmly welcoming Lynn Sherr.
More than my mother knew about me. Thank you. Kim, President Bottomley, very distinguished faculty, trustees, staff, sister alums, loving parents and grandparents and families, and all the friends who made all of this possible today, and above all, beautiful, bubbly members of the Royal Purple Class of 2010. Congratulations. I've even written my speech on purple paper today. Thank you for inviting me to your party. Thank you for letting me pretend I'm still here. And above all, thank you for showing me what the scream tunnel really sounds like. I celebrate your accomplishments and I share every single tingle of your excitement. This day is beyond special in your lives, and I am very honored to help welcome you out into the wide, wide world. I was a mellow yellow girl. Golden, if you pushed, which my generation had to do. As women, or girls as they called us, we were not invited to participate in the working world except at the very lowest levels. But thanks to the knowledge we gained and the courage we inhaled on this campus, we figured it out. We smashed the barriers so that you, every one of you, can now walk into any doorway that you want. That's the way it works. That's the way it works. Pay it forward when you're ready to do the same. What you have earned as graduates, or about to be graduates, of this amazing institution is the ability to move on, to dare to do anything. What you retain as graduates of this amazing institution is the privilege to return anytime, emotionally, spiritually, or just to visit. As Victor said, this is home base, always. And it's what you've learned in here that will help determine what you do out there. It certainly did for me. Someone at a Jewish newspaper in Philadelphia, which is my hometown, once asked me if my background had anything to do with my choice of a career, since Jews were always asking questions and answering with a question. I asked him if he was serious. In fact, I became a reporter for a very corny reason: to tell the truth, to go behind the curtain and expose the wizardry, to find out why and when and where and how, to help make sense and thus bring order to this distinctly disordered world. By an accident of timing and pure good luck, I have lived the glory years of television network journalism, when news was still recognized as a public service and when getting the story was the only thing that mattered, when we were reality TV. I am thrilled that the rules have changed, but I am constantly reminded that the change can be unsettling. How different was it? Well, I grew up in a world where a mouse was a furry rodent, a Twitter was a bird call, and Catherine Lee Bates, as far as I knew back then, was merely a dormitory. And of course, when I sat where you are sitting, the Secretary of State of the United States was and always had been a white male, not one of whom had gone to Wellesley. Worse yet, success back then meant defying nature. Anatomy, Dr. Freud told us, was destiny, condemning women to a status far below our own expectations. Little wonder so many tried to act and think like men. We wanted to prove we were just as good as the guys because they held all the passwords. We worked very hard to detach our bodies from our business lives because we had to. In those days, getting pregnant could get you fired. Giggling about girl stuff meant you weren't serious. Crying in the office labeled you unprofessional. Today, men weep in public, often when they're confessing to betraying their wives. Babies have become common campaign props, and the U.S. Congress, the United States Congress, has lactation stations. At any rate, it is now safe politically to be female. It is okay if you choose to be a mom, a grandmom, a woman with womanly concerns, and if you choose to be a scientist, a corporate executive, a senator, an astronaut, a journalist, all at the same time. That is the reality on this campus, on this continent. And here in the U.S., We now have our very first ambassador for global women's issues, reporting directly to the Secretary of State. That would be our Secretary of State. You are entering a world that is beginning to understand women's needs, to respect women's value, and to crave women's power at last. My generation didn't make all of this possible, and we didn't do it all perfectly. Sometimes I think we overly dismissed our stay-at-home moms. Sometimes I think we may have demanded too little of ourselves. Perhaps we offended or overreached, but we did what we thought we had to, given the odds that we faced. We measured those odds, and we saw our goals, and we reached a number of them. Look how the imperative has flipped. Today, as a very sensible friend of mine from California observes, we don't need strong women to think like men. We need more strong men to think like women. Not, by the way, that I think Wellesley ought to produce them, but that's a separate story. So in a way, you and I are very much alike. As you start out in your lives, and I am starting out on the rest of mine, we're both saying, now what? This is not a race. We are focused in different directions. But I hasten to inform you that while our gender is now generally accepted, our gray hairs are not. Fair warning. As contemporary women, we have reinvented every stage of our lives, turning dissatisfaction with convention into new rules for success, trying to reshape the battle of the sexes into a more practical form of peaceful coexistence. Once unwelcome in all but the lowest pockets of journalism, my generation of female reporters hit the business when a job could become a profession, when we begged, then demanded, then won the right to work. We came on the scene as girls who were supposed to know our place, which was nowhere. Today, with the privileges we've earned as powerful women, we know that our place is everywhere. I beg you to remember how we and you got there and how long it took. I have also faced the heartbreak of death too soon and come out on the other side. My husband died of cancer. I'm a cancer survivor. But I'm betting that every woman here, every person here, in fact, has a similar story, or will, because that, certainly for us, is the story of women's lives. We dream, we cope, and we endure. And we keep on learning. As yours begins anew, I have a couple of suggestions. When we're done here, first thing, thank your families for footing the bill and for understanding that you and Wellesley are worth it. Remember our history as you make your own. And while the media world descends into shout-fests and outlandish opinion saturating the blogosphere, please don't let the widening political divide hijack your dreams or weaken the intellectual rigor that you learned here. So carry on, carry us with you, continue the revolution, know that we are right beside you, and just in case you are wondering what direction to take, consider one more thing Miss Anthony said. It was 1905. I firmly believe, she predicted, that someday a woman will be President of the United States. I urge you to go for it. It is our tradition, and it's about time. Congratulations, class of 2010.
Thank you, Lynn.